This is the continuation report of my previous group mates. As you can see on the screen, it tells us the story about the Duncan Bronson Incorporated and how it started. And I guess you already read about this since Miss Lovely already provided us the file for this, right? The nature of an external audit. The purpose of an external audit is to develop a finite list of opportunities that could benefit a firm and threats that should be avoided. As the term finite suggests, the external audit is not aimed at developing an exhaustive list of every possible factor that could influence the business. Rather, it is aimed at identifying key variables that offer actionable responses. An external audit reveals key opportunities and threats confronting an organization so that managers can formulate strategies to take advantage of the opportunities and avoid or reduce the impact of threats. Key external forces. External forces can be divided into five broad categories: economic forces, social, cultural, demographic, and natural environment forces, political, governmental, and legal forces, technological forces, and competitive forces. Businesses do not operate in a vacuum, and they are influenced by forces beyond their control. How they respond and how quickly they respond to those external forces can make the difference between success and failure, especially in today's fast-paced business climate. A, a comprehensive strategic management model. Strategic management includes setting objectives for the company, analyzing the actions of competitors, reviewing the organization's internal structure, evaluating current strategies, and confirming that strategies are implemented company-wide. Relationships between key external forces and an organization. External forces directly affect both suppliers and distributors. Identifying and evaluating external opportunities and threats enables organizations to develop a clear mission, to design strategies to achieve long-term objectives, and to develop policies to achieve annual objectives. Global economic recession significantly affect products, services, markets, and organizations worldwide. The US unemployment rate climbed to over 9% in July 2009 as more than 2.5 million jobs were lost in the United States in 2008, the most since 1945 when the country downsized from the war effort. The rate is expected to rise to 10.1%. All sectors witness rising unemployment rates except for education, healthcare services, and government employment. Changes in external forces translate into changes in consumer demand for both industrial and consumer products and services. External forces affect the types of products developed, the nature of positioning and market segmentation strategies, the type of services offered, and the choice of businesses to acquire or sell. The process of performing an external audit must involve it must involve as many managers and employees as possible. A company first must gather competitive intelligence and information about economic, social, cultural, demographic, environmental, political, governmental, legal, and technological trends. Other variables commonly used include market share, breadth of breadth of competing products, world economies, foreign affiliates, proprietary and key account advantages, price competitiveness, technological advancements, population shifts, interest rates, and pollution abatement. Freud emphasized that these key external factors should be important to achieving long-term and annual objectives, measurable, applicable to all competing firms, and hierarchical in the sense that some will pertain to the overall company and others will be more narrowly focused on, on functional or divisional areas. A final list of the most important key external factors should be communicated and distributed widely in an organization. Both opportunities and threats can be key external factors. The industrial organization approach to competitive advantage advocates that external or industry factors are more important than internal factors in a firm achieving competitive advantage. Proponents of the IO view, such as Michael Porter, contend that organizational performance will be primarily determined by industry forces. Competitive advantage is determined largely by competitive positioning within an industry, according to IO advocates. Managing strategically from the IO perspective entails firms striving to compete in attractive industries, avoiding weak or faltering industries, and gaining a full understanding of key external factor relationships within that attractive industry. Economic forces. Key economic variables to be monitored. Economic factors have a direct impact on the potential attractiveness of various strategies. For example, when interest rates rise, funds needed for capital expansion become costlier or unavailable. Also, when interest rates rise, discretionary income declines and the demand for discretionary goods falls. When stock prices increase, the desirability of equity as a source of capital for market development increases. Also, when the market rises, consumer and business wealth expands. Expected GDP growth in 2009 among countries in Asia. China has a percent GDP growth about 7 to 8%, India 7 to 8%, Indonesia 3 to 4%, Thailand, Philippines, Taiwan, and also Malaysia also got 3 to 4%. South Korea, Hong Kong, and Singapore got 1 to 2%. Unlike most countries in Europe and the Americas, most Asian countries expect positive GDP growth in 2009. Trends in the dollar's value have significant and unequal effects on companies in different industries in different locations. For example, the pharmaceutical, tourism, entertainment, motor vehicle, aerospace, and forest products industries benefit greatly when the dollar falls against the yen and euro. Advantages and disadvantages of a weak dollar for domestic firms. You can see on the screen on the left side the advantages and on the right side the disadvantages. The advantages are leads to more exports, leads to lower imports, makes US goods cheaper to foreign consumers, combats deflation by pushing up prices of imports, can contribute to rise in stock prices in short run, stimulates worldwide economic recession, encourages foreign countries to lower interest rates, raises the revenues and profits of firms that do business outside the United States, stimulates worldwide economic expansion, forces foreign firms to raise prices, reduces the U.S. trade deficit, encourages firms to globalize, encourages foreigners to visit the United States. Disadvantages are can lead to inflation, can cause rise in oil prices, can weaken U.S. government, makes it unattractive for Americans to travel globally, and lastly, can contribute to fall in stock prices in long run. Social, cultural, demographic, and natural environment forces. Social, cultural, demographic, and environmental trends are shaping the way Americans live, work, produce, and consume. New trends are creating a different type of consumer and, consequently, a need for different products, different services, and different strategies. There are now more American households with people living alone or with unrelated people than there are households consisting of married couples with children. Small, large, for profit, and non profit organizations in all industries are being staggered and challenged by the opportunities and threats arising from changes in social, cultural, demographic, and environmental variables. The oldest and youngest states by average age of residence. And see on the left side the five oldest states, and on the right side the five youngest states. Five oldest states include Maine, Vermont, West Virginia, Florida, and Pennsylvania. And on the right side, five youngest states are Utah, Texas, Alaska, Idaho, and California. The trend toward an older America is good news for restaurants, hotels, airlines, cruise lines, tours, resorts, theme parks, luxury products and services, recreational vehicles, home builders, furniture producers, computer manufacturers, travel services, pharmaceutical firms, automakers, and funeral homes. Older Americans are especially interested in healthcare, financial services, travel, crime prevention, and leisure. The world's longest living people are the Japanese, with Japanese women living to 86.3 years and men living to 80.1 years on average. By 2050, the Census Bureau projects that the number of Americans aged 100 and older will increase to over 834,000 from just under 100,000 centenarians in the United States in 2000. Americans aged 65 and over will increase from 12.6% of the U.S. population in 2000 to 20% by the year 2050. Key social, cultural, demographic, and natural environment variables. Political, governmental, and legal forces. Federal, state, local, and foreign governments are major regulators, deregulators, subsidizers, employers, and customers of organizations. Political, governmental, and legal factors, therefore, can represent key opportunities or threats for both small and large organizations. For industries and firms that depend heavily on government contracts or subsidies, political forecasts can be the most important part of an external audit. Changes in patent laws, antitrust legislation, tax rates, and lobbying activities can affect firms significantly. The increasing global interdependence among economies, markets, governments, and organizations makes it imperative that firms consider the possible impact of political variables on the formulation and implementation of competitive strategies. Some political, governmental, and legal variables. Local, state, and federal laws, regulatory agencies, and special interest groups can have a major impact on the strategies of small, large, for-profit, and non-profit organizations. Many companies have altered or abandoned strategies in the past because of political or governmental actions. Technological forces. CEO Chris DeWolf of MySpace is using technology to expand the firm's 1,600-person workforce in 2009, even as the economic recession depends. MySpace expects a 17% increase in revenue in 2009. Nearly half of the site's 130 million members worldwide are 35 and older, and 76 million of the members are from the United States. This compares to rival Facebook that has 150 million members worldwide, but only 55 million in the United States. MySpace is continually redesigning the site and revamping the way its members can manage their profiles and categorize their friends, and enabling consumers to listen to free streaming audio and songs. Doug Morris, the CEO of Universal Music Group, says, "There is a lot of conflict between technology and content, and Chris has successfully brought both together." The internet has changed the very nature of opportunities and threats by altering the life cycles of products, increasing the speed of distribution, creating new products and services, erasing limitations of traditional geographic markets, and changing the historical trade-off between production standardization and flexibility. The internet is altering economies of scale, changing entry barriers, redefining the relationship between industries and various suppliers, creditors, customers, and competitors. Revolutionary technological changes and discoveries are having a dramatic impact on organizations. To effectively capitalize on e-commerce, a number of organizations are establishing two new positions in their firms: Chief Information and Chief Technology Officer. This trend reflects the growing importance of information technology in strategic management. Examples of the impact of wireless technology. Competitive forces. Collecting and evaluating information on competitors is essential for successful strategy formulation. Identifying major competitors is not always easy because many firms have divisions that compete in different industries. Many multi-divisional firms do not provide sales and profit information on a divisional basis for competitive reasons. Also, privately held firms do not publish any financial or marketing information. Addressing questions about competitors, such as those presented in Table 3-9, is important in performing an external audit. It is important because it helps businesses understand their competitive environment and the opportunities and challenges it presents. Business analyze the information to create effective and efficient business practices. The top US competitors in 4 different industries. From 2008 sales and the percentage they've changed, 2008 profits, and also the percentage change. Under the pharmaceuticals, construction and farm equipment, and computers. So these are the key questions about competitors. Like for example, number 11, what is the nature of supplier and distributor relationships in this industry? The 7 characteristics describe the most competitive companies. Number 1, market share matters. The 90th share point isn't as important as the 91st, and nothing is more dangerous than falling to 89. Number 2, understand and remember precisely what business you are in. Number 3, whether it's broke or not, fix it. Make it better, not just products but the whole company if necessary. Number 4, innovate or evaporate. Particularly in technology-driven businesses, nothing quite recedes like success rather. Number 5, acquisition is essential to growth. The most successful purchases are in reaches that add a technology or a related market. Number 6, people make a difference. Tired of hearing it? Too bad. Number 7, there is no substitute for quality and no greater threat than failing to be cost competitive on a global basis. Competitive Intelligence Program. As formally defined by the Society of Competitive Intelligence Professionals, it is a systematic and ethical process for gathering and analyzing information about the competition's activities and general business trends to further a business own goals from the SCIP website. Good competitive intelligence in business, as in the military, is one of the keys to success. The more information and knowledge a firm can obtain about its competitors, the more likely it is that it can formulate and implement effective strategies. Major competitors' weaknesses can represent external opportunities. Major competitors' strengths may represent key threats. It is important because it helps businesses understand their competitive environment and the opportunities and challenges it presents. Business analyze the information to create effective and efficient business practices. Three strong misperceptions about business intelligence prevail among U.S. executives today. Number 1, running an intelligence program requires lots of people, computers, and other resources. Second, collecting intelligence about competitors violates antitrust laws. Business intelligence equals espionage. Third, intelligence gathering is an unethical business practice. Three basic objectives of a ZI program are to provide a general understanding of an industry and its competitors, to identify areas in which competitors are vulnerable and to assess the impact strategic actions would have on competitors, and to identify potential moves that a competitor might make that would endanger a firm's position in the market. Market commonality and resource similarity. Competitors are firms that offer similar products and services in the same market. Markets can be geographic or product areas or segments. For example, in the insurance industry, the markets are broken down into commercial or consumer, health or life, or Europe or Asia. Market commonality can be defined as the number and significance of markets that a firm completes in with rivals. Resource similarity is the extent to which the type and amount of a firm's internal resources are comparable to a rival. One way to analyze competitiveness between two or among several firms is to investigate market commonality and resource similarity issues while looking for areas of potential competitive advantage along each firm's value chain. 5 forces model of competition. According to Porter, the nature of competitiveness in a given industry can be viewed as a composite of 5 forces: rivalry among competing firms, potential entry of new competitors, potential development of substitute products, bargaining power of suppliers, bargaining power of consumers. Intensity of competition among firms in different industries. The following 3 steps for using Porter's 5 forces model can indicate whether competition in a given industry is such that the firm can make an acceptable profit. Must first identify key aspects or elements of each competitive force that impact the firm. Evaluate how strong and important each element is for the firm. Decide whether the collective strength of the elements is worth the firm in entering or staying in the industry. Rivalry among competing firms. Rivalry among competing firms is usually the most powerful of the five competitive forces. The strategies pursued by one firm can be successful only to the extent that they provide competitive advantage over the strategies pursued by rival firms. Changes in strategy by one firm may be met with retaliatory counter moves, such as lowering prices, enhancing quality, adding features, providing services, extending warranties, and increasing advertising. Free-flowing information on the internet is driving down prices and inflation worldwide. The internet, coupled with a common currency in Europe, enables consumers to make price comparisons easily across countries. Just for a moment, consider the implications for car dealers who used to know everything about a new car's pricing, while you, the consumer, little. Knew very little, I mean. You could bargain, but being in the dark, you could rarely could win. Potential entry of new competitors. The conditions that cause high rivalry among competing firms. Despite numerous barriers to entry, new firms sometimes enter industries with higher quality products, lower prices, and substantial marketing resources. The strategy's job, therefore, is to identify potential new firms entering the market, to monitor the new rival firm strategies, to counterattack as needed, and to capitalize on existing strengths and opportunities. Potential development for substitute products. In many industries, firms are in close competition with producers of substitute products in other industries. Examples are plastic container producers competing with glass, paperboard, and aluminum can producers, and acetaminophen manufacturers competing with other manufacturers of pain and headache remedies. The presence of substitute products puts a ceiling on the price that can be charged before consumers will switch to the substitute product. Price ceilings equate to profit ceilings and more intense competition among rivals. Products of eyeglasses and contact lenses, for example, face increasing competitive pressures from laser eye surgery. Producers of sugar face similar pressures from artificial sweeteners. Newspapers and magazines face substitute product competitive pressures from the internet and 24-hour cable television. Bargaining power of consumers. The bargaining power of consumers can be the most important force affecting competitive advantage. Consumers gain increasing bargaining power under the following circumstances. If they can inexpensively switch to competing brands or substitutes. If they are particularly important to the seller. If sellers are struggling in the face of falling consumer demand. If they are informed about sellers' products, prices, and costs. If they have discretion in whether and way they purchase the product. And when they purchase the product. Sources of external information. A wealth of strategic information is available to organizations from both published and unpublished sources. Unpublished sources include customer surveys, market research, speeches at professional and shareholders meetings, television programs, interviews, and conversations with stakeholders. Published sources of strategic information include periodicals, journals, reports, government documents, abstracts, books, directories, newspapers, and manuals. The internet has made it easier for firms to gather, assimilate, and evaluate information. There are many excellent websites for gathering strategic information, but six that the author uses routinely are listed here. Most college libraries subscribe to Standard Poor's SP's industry surveys. Documents are exceptionally up to date and give valuable information about many different industries. Each report is authored by a Standard Poor's industry research analyst and includes the following sections: current environment, industry trends, how the industry operates, key industry ratios and statistics, how to analyze a company, glossary of industry terms, additional industry information, references, and lastly, comparative company financial analysis. Forecasting tools and techniques. Forecasts are educated assumptions about future trends and events. Forecasting is a complex activity because of factors such as technological innovation, cultural changes, new products, improved services, stronger competitors, shifts in government priorities, changing social values, unstable economic conditions, and unforeseen events. Managers often must rely on unpublished forecasts to effectively identify key external opportunities and threats. Making assumptions. Planning would be impossible without assumptions. Mark Hanke defines assumptions as the best present estimates of the impact of major external factors over which the manager has little if any control, but which may exert a significant impact on performance or the ability to achieve desired results. Strategies are faced with countless variables and imponderables that can be neither controlled nor predicted with 100% accuracy. Wild guesses should never be made in formulating strategies, but reasonable assumptions based on available information must always be made. Industry analysis. The external factor evaluation. External factor evaluation or EFE matrix. It allows strategies to summarize and evaluate economic, social, cultural, demographic, environmental, political, governmental, legal, technological, and competitive information. As stated in Table 3-12, the EFE matrix can be developed in 5 steps. EFE matrix for a local teen theater cinema complex. You can see on the screen the opportunities and threats. The competitive profile matrix. The competitive profile matrix identifies a firm's major competitors and its particular strengths and weaknesses in relation to a sample firm's strategic position. The weights and total weighted scores in both a CPM and an EFE have the same meaning. However, critical success factors in a CPM include both internal and external issues. Therefore, the ratings refer to strengths and weaknesses, where 4 equals major strength, 3 equals minor strength, 2 equals minor weakness, and 1 equals major weakness. The critical success factors in a CPM are not grouped into opportunities and threats as they are in an EFE. In a CPM, the ratings and total weighted scores for rival firms can be compared to the sample firm. This comparative analysis provides important internal strategic information. An example competitive profile matrix. Another example competitive profile matrix. That's the end. Thank you for listening.